So I'm gonna make Empoleon pull out some diabolical nonsense that it's never really done before, or at least I think. Empoleon's got a lot of things it can do thanks to its pretty solid water steel typing and overall nice stats, but as speed isn't really its strong suit, it needs a little bit of help. We can whip out agility to go ahead and double our speed, and with max EVs, it's now super fast. Quicker than Dragapult, even with a modest nature, which is generally a benchmark that I aim for. But then we're gonna click Metal Sound, and since this is never really used in a competitive setting, or actually ever, let me break it down for you. Metal Sound essentially drops the opponent's special defense by 2 stages. But it's a sound-based move, obviously, and so this activates our Throat Spray item, giving us a +1 to special attack. If they stay in, they're absolutely drowned by a Stab Surf with a +3 differential on the special stats, but even with just the +1 from the Throat Spray, Empoleon's gonna hurt. We've also got coverage with Ice Beam, which is nice, and the competitive ability is extremely good in being able to give us a +2 to special attack each time his stat is lowered by an opponent, which happens more than you'd expect with secondary effects from moves, or just things like opposing Intimidate. Terra Ghost is going to help us out a lot defensively to get this whole nonsense jump started, and overall, it's time to take a weird-ass Empoleon set just for fun and see if we can actually get it going as a sweeper. Alright, look, Empoleon will always be my dude. It was my first starter when Diamond and Pearl first came out. And overall, how could you hate on a big metal penguin? Let's be real. It can also do a lot competitively, and this is a pretty fun set that's mostly nonsense, but we're gonna see if we can get it to work. And if that sounds like a fun time to you, you should probably hit that subscribe button. We're always messing around with some fun shenanigans over here. And without any more nonsense, let's go ahead and get into the game. Alright, so in the biggest surprise that I've had all year, Guy with the Grimmsnarl from Team Preview decides to lead off with it. And surely, they're gonna go for some screens. So look, I expect that, and I'm like, you know what? I've never let off with Gramble, but in a situation like this, young Snatched Waste over here is going to have to deal with the big dog. I know they're going to go for a Reflect, so I figure, you know what, I can hit him with a nice little Play Rough. I also, with an Intimidate, it's not going to do much with any offensive attacks. I can do over half with the Play Rough, which feels pretty good. Now, they do decide, they're like, you know what, this is fine. I'm just going to set up a light screen. I can Play Rough again, and look at that. Not only do I knock the Grimmsnarl out, I connect on 2 Play Roughs in a row, so I should probably go buy a lotto ticket, but overall, that's a great way to take care of like the most annoying lead freaking ever. Now, here's the fun part. Also, as they have 2 layers of screens up, first of all, to go into Toxtricity, Assault Vest Gramble can live that. Also, I can now go for a Psychic Fangs, which is super effective and gets rid of both screens. So this Grand Bowl has now earned itself a second bowl of kibbles for dinner, and that is amazing. I take care of the Grimmsnarl. It can no longer reset those screens, so I also get some big damage on the Toxtricity, which is great. I also, I don't really have any option to switch into the thing, so I figured, yeah, that's fine. I'm just going to let it go down. It could have been nice to save for an Intimidate switch in, but my best use is to probably just sack it there, and that's a good boy right there. So I go into another big good boy. I didn't realize I'm double dogging on this team, and the dogs are out. I go for the Stealth Rock here with the Lycanroc because I was like, maybe they end up swapping here, afraid of just me knocking the thing out, but Toxtricity is not going to be able to be saved to outspeed too much later. I set up my Stealth Rock there, and now they go for a Nuzzle, which just feels rude, right? I would rather you have knocked me down to my Focus Sash with just anything else, but it's fine. I can now at least go for the Accelerock with the priority, knock out the Toxtricity, and now we're chilling. The bad news is they can now go for the Revenge Switch into a freaking Meowscarada, and boy, do I hate Meowscarada, right? So first of all, I don't have my Focus Sash anymore. I know they're likely just going to go for that Flower Trick. I Accelerock just to get some chip before I go down here. I got up my Stealth Rock. If this thing loses its Focus Sash and can't go for Endeavor shenanigans, it's not ideal. And so what's also not ideal is that Flower Trick is annoying as hell in that it's always going to crit. I have nothing that really wants to hard switch into it. I know Empoleon can live 1 attack from that, so as I couldn't bring it in, I have to sack the Lycanroc, but at least now it's feeling like it's happy feet time, baby. Do not push me because I'm close to the edge. And also, I figure this thing probably just goes for another Flower Trick here. If it's Choice Scarf, that's going to really bust my penguin balls. But I decided to bank on the fact that it might not be Choice Scarf. It does go for that Flower Trick with that guaranteed crit. Does a whole bunch because, that's just what this thing does. Now, as I go for the Agility, the fun part is if this thing's Choice Scarf, I just get outsped even with an Agility. However, thank God I can outspeed. It's not going to be Scarf, and Ice Beam's going to be able to take it out. And with the Meowscarada out of the way, that feels like a pretty safe position. Also, not only that, but hey, even with just an Agility, I'm faster than their whole squad. Now, here's the fun part. As they go into the Gyarados, I'm like, please be Intimidate. That would give me a competitive boost. It's not. Sadly, with no Intimidate, I'm kind of in a bad spot here. Now, here's the thing. I expect maybe they go for a Dragon Dance, right? I'm going to click the Metal Sound just to give it a whirl. I throw that out there. It's going to drop its special defense. It activates the throat spray. First of all, I do connect on that, which is always a plus. Now here's the also fun part. They could kill me within an earthquake. I was kind of thinking maybe Dragon Dance. Nope, they go for a waterfall, and they probably thought that was going to be able to pick me off. It does not. And that is wildly unfortunate for them, because now I can outspeed with an Ice Beam, especially with their -2 and my +1. We got a +3 differential, and that's going to be able to take care of the Gyarados. And that feels pretty good. Now, as they bring in young Sword Hands, the sharpest bastard over here probably just now goes for a Shadow Sneak and kills me. Nope, they do not go for the Shadow Sneak. Buddy is absolutely dropping the ball out here. I can then just outspeed, knock it out with a Surf, and I totally expected to just die to a Shadow Sneak there, but sometimes it turns out the Empoleon just pulls out the clutch dub. Now, as they go into their final mon, which is going to be the Dragapult here, an agile as hell Empoleon is going to be able to outspeed a Dragapult, so that feels pretty good. I can just go ahead, bop him with one more Ice Beam after the Throat Spray boost. That's going to be enough to knock it out. And boy, is it satisfying to see this Empoleon outspeed Dragapult. You can even still run Modest, and at +2, you do sit a little bit faster than a max speed freaking Dragapult, which is a pretty good benchmark to hit. So that is one way that Empoleon can grab a little bit of luck there and come in clutch. That was a pretty fun one, though. So that's now going to bring us into game number 2, where we've got a pretty scary looking squad over here. There's also, of course, a Meowscarada. Luckily, however, no Grimmsnarl. So let's go ahead and just jump into this next game. You probably thought I forgot, but nope. Now's the point in the match where I feel like a panhandler sitting on the side of the street saying, please spare some change. If you could spare a like, hit that like button for me and really help me out. Now, as they end up leading off with the Tyranitar, I've got myself a Rock Doggo, and I'm thinking, all right, lead Tyranitar surely just goes for Stealth Rock. I'm probably safe to just lay down my own, and we're just going to go ahead and compare sizes here. So obviously I'm faster. I set up some rocks, and if they want an Earthquake, that's still fine, right? Nope, they just go right for their own Stealth Rock. And Godzilla over here, we're just placing some rocks around, just helping out our squads for later. So as I'm looking at it here, I can just close combat. I'm like, you know what? I'm absolutely going to go for that 100% of the time. As they do stay in, this is the first Tyranitar I've seen with a Focus Sash in about, I mean, I actually may have never even seen a fucking Tyranitar with Focus Sash. I think they're able to live it with one, which is ridiculous. But as they now go for an Earthquake, we have the exact same guys out here. It turns out I'm also Focus Sash, and I'm like, yeah, get a taste of your own medicine there, buddy. So I'm, of course, just going to go ahead and just finish this thing off with an Accelerock, and that takes care of Tyranitar. So, you know, it knocks me down to Sash, but this Lycanroc enjoys being knocked down to Sash there. That's because if they go into something that I can now outspeed, your ass is about to get Endeavored, and it's kind of just like a free, almost 2 knockouts here. So as they go into friggin' Garchomp, I'm going to click the Endeavor. I know that I'm going to be faster. Bad news is, as I do get the Endeavor off, it's going to knock it down to 1 HP. But the thing is, of course, this rough bastard needs to get some lotion. Does have the rough skin, and that's going to pick off my last, you know, little HP there. So that's fine. Honestly, getting a Garchomp down to 1 basically for free at the trade of just removing my 1 HP Lycanroc, that feels pretty good. So now as I can go into whatever I want, I'm thinking, look, I have this weird-ass Breloom on the team, and I've been messing around with this little guy because absolutely nobody knows what to expect from this thing. First of all, as I bring this in, I feel like I can go for a Substitute. And the reason for that is because I'm like, you know, surely they're just probably afraid of me picking it off with a Mach Punch that's going to allow me the momentum to Substitute. Nope, they just go for an Outrage. And I'm like, you know, that figures. So the Outrage puts me just below range to where I can go for a Substitute, and that is going to activate a Toxic Orb. While I don't get the heal on the first turn, I figure, you know what, if they're going to lock themselves into Outrage on a team where I have a Fairy type, I'm just going to go ahead and just switch into the Grand Bolt. There's absolutely no reason not to. I lose some HP on the Breloom for, you know, no reason. But I go into the Grand Bolt, I get the Intimidate, and now Outrage is going to go ahead and just go right through me. So this fella over here has outraged himself into a Confusion spell, which is fine. As I'm looking at it here, I should probably have gone for Earthquake, to be honest, to not make contact with the guy. I kind of expected them to switch. I just go for the Play Rough as just my strongest stab. It turns out, however, they do stay in. They go for an Earthquake after an Intimidate. Gramble takes it nicely. I can then finish it off with a Play Rough here. But again, I probably should have just not touched the guy. I now have to take Rough Skin damage. And especially after an Earthquake, now Gramble is really, honestly, not that healthy at all. That Garchomp kind of put in some work at 1 HP. But it is what it is. So, as they now on the Revenge Switch are able to go into the Metagross. The thing about Metagross's weird spider metallic ass is that this thing, it can do it has a lot of different options. It could be like a weakness policy set with like agility. It could just go for the Bullet Punch, which it does. This thing, I'm kind of afraid of Metagross in most situations. So I stay in and go for the Earthquake on the chance that they might just try to set up there. Also, Trailblaze could have been an option, but it's fine. On the Revenge Switching, I can now go into our favorite Dragon Ball boy. I go into the Regidrago here because I can take any attack this thing wants to throw at me. As I go for the Earth Power, they are going to end up swapping. They decide to go into Primarina, which is kind of expected. It stops me from going ahead and just clicking all sorts of Dragon Stab. Earth Power is going to do nothing, however. This thing is built different on the special side, and that is a bit unfortunate because honestly, Primarina is a little bit of a problem here. Now, as much as I would really love to just hard switch into Empoleon, I don't want to take unnecessary chips. So, knowing that Empoleon's kind of the matchup I want against this Primarina, I decided to go into the Breloom. It's going to have to likely be a sack as they do go for that Ice Beam. Freaking Breloom will have its day. This is a ridiculous set, but it could be kind of fun. The great part about this Breloom is it pressures people into thinking I'm going to click something like, you know, either Mach Punch or Spore. But you'll hear more about the Breloom later because guess what? Now this is going to open the door to bring in the Empoleon. And I know that I have kind of the upper hand here. I can threaten this thing with, you know, the prospect of having some Steel Stab, which I don't even have. So knowing they can't really touch me in return, they do end up swapping out here. So as they bring in the Meowscarada, I'm always having to deal with freaking Meowscaradas, man. It's on every single team. But it comes in, I go for the Metal Sound here, and that's great because it connects. This thing hears the most diabolical sound of all time. And that drops its special attacks 2 stages, also going to give me that Throat Spray, but now here becomes the friggin' mind games that comes with Meowscarada. So here's the thing, this time I decided to go for the Terra Ghost. I think I had just come off a match where I was dealing with a special attacking Meowscarada, and it went for some type of like Aura Sphere or something like that. So I decided, you know what, to just hedge my bets here, I'm going to bust out the Terra Ghost. And that's just because if this thing goes for a fighting move, that's going to put me in a fantastic spot to go for a free agility. As they end up just going for the flower trick, I'm just looking like an idiot with a ghost on my head because, you know, it still just hits me neutrally. And that's fine because now as I get off the agility, we still are in the situation where if this thing is Choice Scarf, it will still outspeed me. And that would suck to lose this thing and my Terra. But screw it, we're gambling out here. I go for the Ice Beam. I do outspeed, not going to be Choice Scarf. And an Ice Beam, especially after connecting on a Metal Sound, that's just going to send that bad boy into the Shadow Realm. So down goes the Meowscarada. That feels pretty nice. And now as they decide to go into the Gengar, they're probably like, hey, I'm a ghost too. And I'm like, well, guess what? You're about to be double ghost boy because I'm going to send you to the afterlife. I do outspeed, obviously, with that agility. I can go for that Surf. Maybe they were Focus Sash and thought that they could, and forgot about the Stealth Rock. Regardless, that's going to be a free knockout on a Gengar. And we will take that absolutely every day. Now, the bad part about taking so much damage from that flower trick is that now Metagross has an option to knock or maybe pick me off with a Bullet Punch. Turns out as they don't go for the Bullet Punch, I can get off a Surf. Now sadly at +1, it's not going to quite do enough, but as they go for the Meteor Mash, it misses. And that is kind of hilarious. Great for me, horrible if you're the freaking Xbox over here, but luckily now I can pick it off with a Surf. And they just head out. I don't know why you don't click Bullet Punch and at least try, but they just turn their switch off. Which is, you know, always pretty fun. And, you know, Empoleon making people rage quit. We love to see it. That's now going to bring us into game number 3, where we're just over here having ourselves a fun time, messing around. And this is a pretty interesting looking squad. They've got an Empoleon of their own. They have a Hisui and Zoroark, so I'm going to have to be on my toes. And let's go ahead and just jump into it. All right, so this time they're going to go ahead and lead off with the Cleaver. And kind of expecting that. I just go Lycanroc anyway. One thing I would like to find out is if this thing's going to be Choice Scarf. I'll know immediately if it is, because the Stone Axe will be a 2-hit KO. Surely they're going to go for the Stone Axe. I just decide to set up my Stealth Rock guaranteed, and that's always pretty nice. So, just the fact that I outsped there tells me no Choice Scarf on the Cleaver, and that's pretty valuable information to know. As they do connect on a Stone Axe, they set up their Stealth Rock with some damage, so I'm like, oh, cool guy over here with his sick new move. That is gonna hurt. So while I could potentially just go for an Accelerock and let this thing go down, or just Endeavor, I decide, you know what, I might be able to save the Lycanroc for later. I can still get off a big Endeavor, especially because I have to come in and take Rock. So I decided to just go Gramble. That's because I can get an Intimidate, and young Tooth Fairy with his big ass teeth over here being scary is nice. However, they end up going for the Agility, and Agility is a move that I'm always very afraid to see. Now this thing is got not only his Choice Scarf, but a built-in freaking doubled speed. But as they miss the Stone Axe, that's pretty lit. And then Universe just cancels that out because then I missed the Play Rough. And I'm like, man, really? I can't just be throwing a bone over here. I hate to see it. So they now go for a Stone Axe. That's with the Intimidate, doesn't do much. Gramble is my absolute goat over here. As I connect on my Play Rough as well, it's going to be that 2-hit KO that I expected. I'm surely just going to go for another one as they miss a second Stone Axe. Bro is pretty down tremendous on the Stone Axe misses. You'd hate to see it, but I am able to connect on a Play Rough. That's going to finish off the Cleaver. And at -1 attack, it wasn't going to be as scary as it could have been with that agility, but it's always still nice to finish it off there. So as they have a revenge switch on anything they want to go into here, they decide to go Houndoom. And Houndoom, while I know it could have a Sludge Bomb, I'm like, dude, I'm Assault Vest. I can live that. And as they do Sludge Bomb, I do live it with 26, which is sick. And that allows me to then fire off an Earthquake. And Houndoom is made out of glass bones and paper skin. So, you know, that just knocks it out. Now, chalk 2 down for the Grand Bowl today. This thing is, in this battle at least, this thing is an absolute beast. I love when it's a mon that I haven't even thought about using in years, and then I throw it on a team, and I'm like, hell yeah, Grand Bowl. So, here's the thing. Now as they bring in Iron Valiant, I am frightened of this thing setting up, but then I realized, you know what, I don't see a booster energy, and that means it's probably going to be the Zoroark. What also solidifies the fact that it is going to be the Hisuian Zoroark, as it finishes me off there with a Flamethrower. So I'm like, dude, this might just be the position I need to go ahead and set up the Empoleon, because I don't think this thing can hit me for super effective damage. I decided to go for the Metal Sound here, because I'm expecting them to likely maybe just switch out here. Turns out, nope, they go for the Knockoff, which absolutely busts my Penguin balls, because as I do connect on a Metal Sound, I get the benefit of the harsh drop. However, I lost my Throat Spray, so, you know, that is unfortunate. But here's what's pretty sick. They go for a Bitter Malice, and that has a 100% chance to drop your attack by 1 stage, and that is a situation that Empoleon loves, because first of all, I live that attack all day, but most importantly, that now gives me a +2 to my special attack for free, and people always forget about the moves that drop a random stat that don't even end up helping them, end up hurting them in the long run, because now as I go for that agility, I'm able to finish off the Zoroark. I'm now at +2 special attack and speed, and we're out here zooming. I lose my Throat Spray, which is a unique situation, but we love to see it because it ended up working out even better for me. I mean, it would have been nice had I been able to at least retain that Throat Spray, but it's fine. Now as they end up going into the Trevenant, they're probably thinking, does he have the Ice Beam coverage? Yes, I do. I'm able to just pick off the freaking Trevenant with a nice little beam right to the eyeball. The critical hit likely doesn't matter unless that thing was built fully special defense invested, but I don't think it was. That's going to take care of the tree. And hell yeah, I chalk a couple down for the Empoleon, and look at, now they end up going into the Empoleon of their own. We got ourselves in a little Spider-Man meme situation. Bad part about going against myself is that I can only really go for a Surf here. Now, while that does a nice little chunk, the good part is their Empoleon also can't hit me very hard, and as they go for the Hydro Pump, I live that with 5 somehow, which is sick as hell, because now I can just pick it off with one more Surf. But surprise, they have a freaking Aqua Jet. They go for the priority Aqua Jet, which is able to pick me off, and that is wildly unfortunate. I was like, really? You're running Hydro Pump and Aqua Jet? It's always hard to find to be able to fit moves in on a moveset. The fact that you actually slid in the Aqua Jet is diabolical. So that finishes off Empoleon's minor little setup there, which is unfortunate. However, guess what? It's time to go into the Breloom. I'm thinking surely they expect the Mach Punch here and they're going to switch out. That's going to give me a free substitute spot. But nope, this Breloom is having a hell of a time today because they just stay in, just willing to risk the death here. And as they go for the Icy Wind, bro's got a crazy-ass moveset. Icy Wind is actually not that bad. While it does drop speed, it's not going to be able to drop it behind the substitute. And also, as I'm looking at it, I'm like, dude, if you want to continue to just click Icy Winds, that actually might be fine. I figure I don't actually end up having any fighting stab on the thing. So as I go for the Leech Seed here, that's because I can take an Icy Wind, and then after a Leech Seed and a Toxic Heal, I'm always getting tons of health back. So they do go for that Icy Wind. Sadly, it does drop my speed, but after the little sap there by the Leech Seed and that fake-ass Gliscor Poison Heal, I'm going to be pretty healthy, and I'm like, I can take an attack here. I'm like, should I go for the Terra Normal? I can go for the Terra Normal just because then I'll be able to just take a neutral Icy Wind. And then, since they're likely going to be faster this turn, I'll be able to get that substitute up in the front of them. So that's kind of the plan. I'm just messing around with this Breloom, seeing what I can make happen. I go for the Terra Normal because that also is able to boost up my Facade if I'm able to get it off. As they are faster, they go for the Flash Cannon here this time, and that is going to be enough to kill me. And so now my dumbass Terra'd for absolutely no reason at all. And, you know, getting this Breloom to do anything is going to be a little bit of a fight. But I thought that there might have been a chance there had I been able to get up a sub and then be able to Focus Punch stuff. And, you know, that it didn't end up working out for me. But here's the thing. I do still have the Leech Seed on the Empoleon. And if there's one situation the Polteageist likes to come in on, it's a special attacker, especially one that can't really hit me that hard. So I can come in, I can freely go for the Shell Smash. That's going to go ahead. Shell Smash is such a crazy ass move. That's going to double my attack, special attack, and speed. And with a White Herb, I don't even get the downfall of the defensive drop. So no matter what, I can live any attack that this Empoleon wants to throw at me. I'm kind of hoping for no Icy Wind, but even then, just +1 speed, I'd still be faster than everything. As they go for the Hydro Pump, it misses, which is great. There's been tons of misses today, but that's fine. It wouldn't have been able to do horribly much to me anyway, but after some Leech Seed, I'm now back to full, and it is absolutely tea time, baby. I go ahead and pull out your crumpets, because I could go ahead Fire off a Shadow Ball. That's going to finish off the Empoleon, and it's looking like I've got this, it looks like I got the old teapot in a situation for a little late game sweep action here, which is always nice. So as they are able to now go into the Iron Valiant, this is the actual Valiant because, you know, it comes in, it's also going to get a booster energy. And I'm like, you know, if it's booster energy speed, it's probably going to be faster than me. It turns out it is going to be booster speed. So this thing at some +1 speed is going to be faster. But if it's physical, I'm going to have a bad time. If it turns out to just be special, I think I can still take any attack this thing wants to throw me. So it's going to go ahead. They're going to pull out the Terra. They go for the late game Terra. Going to be the Terra Fairy, which I'm hoping is just going to go ahead and try to boost up like a Moonblast, because I mean, dude, at base 114 special defense, Poltegeist can easily live this as long as it didn't have a special attack boost. So as they go for that Moonblast, I'm able to hang on, which is amazing. Now as I can fire off a stored power with all those boosts, that's just gonna straight up delete the Valiant. So that's pretty damn clutch. This teapot does not do well against physical attackers. On the special side, we can go absolutely crazy. So that's going to take care of the Valiant, and that is going to be the end of the game on that one. So I thought that was just an interesting game. Empoleon almost got to get going and then just kind of got blue-balled by an Aqua Jet, but hey, I mean, you know, so sometimes it's the way it goes. So look, that's going to bring us into one more bonus match because this team is fun. It's got some absolute nonsense. I switched a little bit up here, but for the most part, we're throwing some weird sets out there and we're going to see what sticks. Also, we're going up against, once again, a quite scary squad. But when has that stopped us before? Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so, and the biggest surprise of the year, Buddy is going to lead off with the Grimmsnarl. Expecting that, I decided to go into the Braylon. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, why go fighting type versus a fairy lead, expecting to get some momentum? Well, that's because every damn Grimmsnarl in its life has ever just let off and clicked Reflect. So, expecting that, I'm allowed to set up a free substitute, and that feels pretty good. When this Braylon gets behind a free sub, you're gonna have a tough time against it. I'm telling you, this thing can be kind of diabolical. So that's gonna activate my Toxic Orb, which is sweet. Now, as I can potentially go for a Focus Punch, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna set up a Leech Seed. Now, the reason for that is, with the Leech Seed health paired with my Toxic Heal, I can essentially heal back my substitute damage every single turn. And especially when I'm up against a mon that's faster than me, I can theoretically continually set up subs and just be annoying. So I do connect on the seed there. That is pretty nice. And as I'm looking at it, I'm like, surely they probably just, I mean, they're already out here. They might as well just set up a light screen. So what I don't want to do is click a substitute in anticipation of them breaking it. So I'm just going to go for a Focus Punch. Dude, sometimes you gotta just click the Focus Punch. Sub Focus Punch sets were super big when I first started battling in Gen 4. Nowadays, you don't really see it, but we're bringing it back with the Braylon. They do go for the Spirit Break here, which reveals what their stab is going to be. Now, that's going to be able to break my substitute, but luckily, behind the safety of our beanbag, I can now fire off a Focus Punch, which, even with the Reflect up, it's going to do a little bit of damage. It brings it down to half. Paired with that Leech Seed, I'm over here still chilling at full, and this thing's slowly being whittled down here. So now here's the thing. I can fully capitalize on the fact that this thing wants to go for another Spirit Break, right? And one of the best parts about moves that guarantee they drop a stat is to bring in a competitive mon, baby. Not only that, but it works out best when it's a move that you also resist. So as they go for that Spirit Break, I bring in Empoleon strategically, just because that's going to drop my special attack, but that's also then going to go ahead and boost it by 2 stages. So now as I'm sitting at +1 special attack, we also get the benefit of the Leech Seed to be able to bring us essentially back to full. And it's feeling like it's pretty much Empoleon time out here. I'm going to click a Metal Sound because that's always fun. Now here's the best part. They go for the Parting Shot. Brother, I know that he just regretted that the second he clicked it, because these Grimmsnarl boys, they're just so muscle memory of clicking Parting Shot instead of switching out. But that is amazing because that now puts me... I'm at +4 special attack now. That's going to drop 2 stats, which then gives me, 4 boosts in return. Not only that, but then as they switch into freaking Ursaluna, I get off a Metal Sound, which not only drops theirs by 2, or the special defense by 2, then I get a Throat Spray. And I'm like, holy shit, this Empoleon has never so quickly gotten up to +5 special attack. This thing is absolutely insane. Now, while they do have a light screen up, I just go for a Surf. At +5 super effective Surf, that is going to be able to take care of an Ursaluna. And they were fully intending on that thing being, incredibly bulky behind dual screens and having Guts active. But nope, we're able to just delete it with a Surf. And now here's the fun part. As they go into the Annihilate, I'm thinking, surely Buddy's just going to go ahead and click a Drain Punch, right? So for that reason, I can go ahead. I'm like, you're going Ghost. I'm going to go Danny Phantom on that ass as well. I'm going to go full Ghost type here, thinking that surely they just have to go for that Fighting Stab. And this is going to put me in a spot to freely set up an Agility, and then I'll be faster than everything, and with +5 special attack, it's pretty much over for these hoes. They go for the Drain Punch, it goes right through me, And gotta love Terra Ghost. That's what it's all about. I can now click the agility at +2 speed. Looking at everything they've got, I am faster. And now I can just basically fire off a Surf, which they're just gonna dip. They probably can blame that one on the fact that they clicked the parting shot on the competitive Empoleon. But we had to expose him one time, and that's going to do it for the video. We're out here having a fun time. Thank you guys very much for watching. I truly appreciate all the support. You guys are amazing. Also, thank you so much for all the congrats we got on the last video with the baby announcement. That was really cool to see. I love you all, and I will catch you next time. Peace out.